Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures, so welcome to Moose Flats Farm. And today, on a snowy, blustery day, we're going to be working. Our primary project is going to be getting the greenhouse ready for the brassicas to get moved up here, probably in about 2 to 3 weeks, because they're almost ready to be up potted into the 4-inch pots. So let's go into the greenhouse where it's nice and warm, because it's 35 out here. And in here with the fire going, it's about 44 degrees. So definitely is going to be workable temperature in here. So kind of show you what it looks like now and explain what we're going to be doing, because this time of year, with the garden not being at a point where we can be doing anything in it, is when you're going to want to be prepping like your outbuildings that you're going to be using for gardening, planning where things are going to be planted in the garden, and kind of keeping in mind doing your succession sowing of plants, because like right now I've got the 2 big raised beds in the first in-ground garden area and that first row planted with garlic. So my plan is when the garlic is done, and that should be end of June, middle of July, I believe last year is when it went to flower and I was able to pull it out. After the garlic comes out, that's when I'll plant my regular green beans. So it's one of those, just going through, getting your lists of to-do projects, and I have a book down at the house that I've been writing stuff in that I want to get accomplished this year, and just starting to get everything planned. So the first step is getting this area cleaned up, because I'll show you it's a bit of a mess. So we have these pots, and then all of the tomatoes that we got to get cleaned up. Got to get those pots cleaned off that shelf, and go through all these pots and trays and get them cleaned up for next year, or for this year, and get the table cleaned up and the shelf put back on. And this year, as opposed to the little buddy heater, we're going to be putting in one of the big open flame propane heaters. And this is the one that was originally down in the seed shed. It was having some issues because it needed to be cleaned out. So for Christmas, David John had bought me one, and that one was going to come up here, but it was easier just to swap the 2 out and then get this one all cleaned. So that's what is going to be the main heat source for in here. And it's like I can start a little fire in our cute little camp stove. But that only works if I'm home and going to be able to keep the fire going. So this will just, the wood stove is just going to be supplemental heat on the days that I'm home, and the main heat will be the propane heater. So let's start getting this place cleaned up. So that gets that all cleaned up. I have a pile of stuff to take outside. And just like the peppers in the hoop house, their stalks, they're not a good product to feed to the birds because they're members of the nightshade family. So just have to figure out a spot to put them until I can either burn them or get a compost pile started somewhere that the birds don't have access. And I am going to keep the green netting up. I'm just going to cut the lower zip ties that are holding it to the shelving and then just kind of clip it up so it's out of the way. So that will be the next step, is getting that cleaned up so we can move on. So I've gone through and I just put the totes and the buckets of soil down underneath and have swept everything off. The next step is going to be getting these pots dumped out, and I am going to recycle the soil, so got my garbage can for them. And this soil is probably pretty much burnt out for replanting peppers or anything into it, but it will be perfectly good to add to either one of the garden beds or to the new area where we're going to be doing the potatoes, hopefully this year. So next step is get this shelf cleaned off. So the next thing we need to do is get this cover off so we can add that shelf onto here. Now that we've got the table on, I want to go through and kind of sweep those trays out just to get the big chunks and everything off. And I have gone through and got all the pots collected to take down to the house to get washed. And I still have a huge box of them behind you guys on the other side of the greenhouse. So let's get these trays kind of cleaned up. Now that I've gone through, gotten all the trays brushed out, let's go over the different trays and pots that I have. So as far as the how come you guys look like you're crooked? There we go. Now you're looking Hi. We'll find a happy medium. So as far as the planting trays that I have and that you can easily purchase, the most easily purchased and most common one is going to be this one that here, that as you see is super flexible, really lightweight. This is sold in your garden centers. It usually comes with the clear lid for germinating your seeds, typically put out by Jiffy. They're just really lightweight, and if you have a bunch of started plants in here, they have a tendency to want to collapse out of the middle just because they are such lightweight. But they are perfect for starting seeds like on the germination table and then just leaving these on the germination table, or if you're just starting your seeds, just remembering once they get bigger and heavier, these trays are not going to work as well to transport. The other tray that I have is just a simple black one. This one you can also pick up at your garden center. It is heavier duty than the seed starting one that I just showed you, but it also comes, these two are actually two different weights of plastic. This one, as you can see, is kind of just like the Jiffy one, very flexible. So when I'm going through and moving up potting seeds, I try not to use these ones just because they are so lightweight. And as this one you can see, it's a lot stiffer. The best one is these ones that David John got me from Greenhouse Megastore. You can order them online. That's where we get the hoop house plastic, the greenhouse plastic. And these ones are a lot more rigid. They're not the super indestructible ones, but these ones do hold up a lot better. Because the second one I showed you, and these ones are about 4 years old, so they have held up pretty good, but as you see there, just transplanting or transporting plants, a couple of them have ripped. The corner of this one is blown out. So these ones will still work if just as a tray to hold stuff, but obviously are not going to hold water. A couple of the other trays I have is, I've got one of these that's full of holes in the bottom, and it can go right into another tray. I could fill it full of potting mix and start just a mass planting of something that I would be just dividing in clumps. And another one I have is this guy here, and he does have holes in the bottom, and he does fit on top of the ones that don't have holes, but your 4-inch, or actually this is more designed for a 3-inch, but I don't have 3-inch pots. So David John picked these up from his work. They were left over after seed sales, and they were just going to be thrown away, so he brought them home for me. One thing I can do, just like that other one, is I could fill this full of soil and plant my seedlings in this and then transplant them from this out, with something I may experiment with. I showed that. And then I've got these great big ones for holding your gallon pots. And then I have this one that's really nice for holding your 4-inch pots. especially when I take out for when we're doing the seed sale. It just helps if it is kind of a breezy day, the plants from not wanting to fall over, just as a support for the plants. So now let's talk about the evolution of our seed starting pots. Our very first one that we got, and we got these, all the orange pots I'm going to show you we got off of Amazon. I don't remember how much. The black ones he got from the Greenhouse Mega Store. But these ones, as you see, really lightweight, kind of crush up. And these are the original ones, and I want to say they're about 6 years old. And I am still using them. I use these typically for up-potting plants that are mine, so that way I can keep them separate from the ones that are for sale. The next evolution is another terracotta pot, and this one, as you see, is not as flexible. It's a little stiffer, so a little heavier duty, and these are still pretty good pots. They were relatively inexpensive on Amazon, and from the same company, just one was really lightweight and the other's a little heavier duty. And then my other, what we've graduated to now, are just the simple black pots. These ones are a little soft on the sides, but the lips are nice and rigid. And then I just have the 4-inch black square ones. We typically do our vegetables in the round pots and flowers and herbs in the square ones, just so as a glance David John knows vegetable, flower, herb. And then I've got these terracottas. These are not sure what size. They're in between. They're not quite a gallon, so I'm thinking they're like 3/4 of a gallon size. So these I have used in the past when I've gotten too ambitious on planting tomatoes early and have had to re-up-pot them from the 4-inch into this. It's a 6-inch pot into this. So we do have these, and hopefully not going to have to use them for that purpose this year. And then, as you saw, I do have the half-gallon pots. Or is these gallons? Actually, these gallon pots, I've got a couple different varieties of them. These, for the most part, we do like our trees, and when I finally get a stockpile of perennials coming up, they will be transplanted into this, so that way next year they'll be good size for selling during our month of madness seed selling. So one of the last things to do is to unroll that roll of plastic right there and get it taped back over that run of the window. Get the propane heater hooked up, and the brassicas transplanted, and they'll be good to come up here. Well guys, actually before I end this video, we are gonna run into town and get a new helper for the farm. So I hope you enjoy the trip into town. Since we're here, we're gonna get some seeds. All these choices.
To come out like that with the white little train thing around. Not even it? Đây là không có con có được.
Got 10 bags of chicken food.
We were just gonna say something funny about the chicken food. So notice we have 2 stacks sitting this way. So unlike most people, they single stack it and it's about this tall and you can't see over it. And it's not very stable. So you can almost double stack it. Note to self.
Okay, now we're gonna go get the real reason we came down to North 40 today. Show you guys what we got. Ugh.
You're all good to go, sir.
Now, sir, you're not going to go over 45 miles an hour.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Pitch that up first, though, I think.
What's that?
Because this is on.
Okay. Hi guys, so what we ended up getting from the North 40, which is where I work, and I'm going to give them a plug. It's their brand of log splitter. So Black Diamond is their brand name. It's a 27 ton Briggs & Stratton motor. It basically a tow behind, but it's a low speed tow behind. It's kind of their low end model, but 27 tons is going to be more than enough to do any of the softwoods that we have around here. We don't typically have any oak, maple, anything like that. So again, 27 ton is way more than capable to do all of that stuff. So our idea there was to help us out. We've always borrowed a log splitter from the family, and you know, it's a great tool, so we decided to get our own, and then we don't have to ferry back and forth. So anyway, this is what we came home with. It only took us about a week to get. Apparently the truck didn't want to go get it, so it decided it was going to break down. But I ended up fixing that, and now we have a log splitter with Flats Farm.
Well, this is where I'm going to end today's video. Thank you for coming and hanging out in the greenhouse with me. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and until our next adventure, bye for now.